This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we have looked at unearned income, and the consensus that everybody's telling me is that they understand unearned income. And I will, of course, test that out because I don't want to wait till next week to find it. Remembering that when we're working with adjusting entries, what is placed here, these accounts and these types, stays the same. You just got to calculate the amount. So it's a change. We started off, you have to come up with the type, but I always gave you the amounts typically, most times. Now I'm giving you the accounts, or the journal entries, excuse me, and the accounts, but you got to calculate the amounts. So we were talking about what, 5 and 6 was it? So let's go to 5. Who has 5? Where's my list at? Here. Everything is here.
I think I have number 5.
Who's that? Thank you.
Layla.
Layla has hold on just a second. Oh, that's not the one. That's the one I want. Oh, it won't show up. I guess it'll get here. But go ahead, I'll catch up with it later unless it's down here. Oh, here it is. So, Layla, what you gonna tell me about number 5? What's going on in number 5?
You want me to read the thing?
Yep.
Okay. In 2017, JHJ Publishing Company purchased supplies paying cash in the amount of $6,000 and purchased an additional $4,000 in supplies on account. Record the entries. Record the entries to record the purchase of supplies. Also record the adjusting at December 31st if supplies on hand total $3,000.
Okay. So what first?
So the first thing you have to do is debit supplies for $6,000 and credit cash for $6,000, and it's a type 7.
Okay, so okay, so the supplies and cash, and we're in 2017. Our first entry was we bought the supplies paying cash. So how much was that?
6,000.
So let's go ahead and post that. Got 6,000 in here. What happens next?
Then you're gonna do supplies again, but you're gonna do accounts payable. So debit supplies 4,000 and then credit accounts payable 4,000.
So that's 10. So we got another 4,000. Okay. so right now supplies has how much in it?
$10,000.
$10,000. And then what does the problem tell us? How much of this 10,000 is still there?
3,000 of it? Am I wrong?
3,000.
Yeah, 3,000 of it.
So what does that tell you?
I'm guessing. Well, this part kind of tricked me,
Yeah.
but I was guessing. So at the end of it, was it gonna be 7,000 or something, or is it still the 3,000?
If you have 10,000 in the bank with 2 deposits, and you ended up with just 3,000 next year,
Yeah,
as much then
7,000.
7,000. So it's always the difference.
All right.
And we're gonna put the 7,000 here in the expense account. And so that's the AJE that we're making there. And we know that eventually we're gonna close this out. So we put 7,000 here, and we're done.
Yay.
Are there any questions? Mrs. Layla says, yay. Any questions? Can everybody do that when I ask you to in a few minutes? All right, everybody can do that. Well, this is a smart class, so. Okay, so now let's go on to 6. So go ahead and read 6. Who has 6?
Can I see that last journal entry again? That was for number 5, right?
Oh, number 5. That's 2017. Do we have it?
I was asking, how do you know to use supply expense for the adjusting journal entry?
Because it's a standard. That's what you use all the time. When it says AJE for supplies, that's always the entry. It's not a matter of knowing. It's a matter, that's what it is. So whenever you make an adjusted entry for supplies, that is the entry. So you don't think about it. If I tell you to make an adjusting entry for supplies, that's what it is. You got it? Any other question on that? That's the entry. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Let's move on to 6. Who has 6?
I have 6.
Okay, Sierra. So what's it saying in 6, Sierra?
Okay, it says record the entries to purchase supplies. Also record the adjusting entry required at year end in 2018 if supplies on hand total $10,000. your adjusting entry should reflect the fact that beginning supplies for 2018 were 3,000. See exercise 5.
Okay. 6 appears to be missing some things, so let's just put those in. So record. So suppose we made a cash purchase. So let's just make this cash of $15,000. So that was missing from your problem. Okay. So suppose you purchased 15,000 in cash. If we're purchasing supplies and we're now in the 2018, what are we going to do?
Okay, we're gonna debit supplies of 15,000 and credit cash of 15,000.
That's correct.
Is a type 7.
Okay, that's correct. So you had that information missing. So, okay. Now, if that's all you have, let's go ahead and put our 15,000 in here. So how much we got in the account now?
17,000.
How you get 17?
I'm sorry, 18,000.
Okay, you got 18,000 in the account. And it tells you the ending balance in the account is how much?
The ending balance is 10,000.
No, is that what it said? It says 1,000. That's 1,000.
Oh, I'm reading it from the book and it says 10,000.
Okay, sometime. Let's assume it's 1,000. So, well,
Okay.
we'll make it 10,000. If you did 10,000, let's just make it 10,000 because it doesn't matter. So we have 10,000 here. Then what's the AJ gonna be?
So the AJE will be 8,000.
That's correct. And so we're just in 2018, $8,000. That's all it is. Any questions? Are there any questions?
This conference will now be recorded.
So what I've done here is to say, when we get to 2018, if you having problems, you just put down the months. So if you want to go the long way around and coming up with the AJE, You show the amounts in January, February, and March, then the May, then you add all of these up. And we add all of those up, how much do we get? 1475 before. 1425. That is, you have 3 months where your cost is $100,000 a month. Then you have 9 months where your cost is going to be $125. So you can lay them like this and add them all up, or you can multiply 3 times 100, 9 times 125 to come up with what the expense is going to be. So that's how, so that's how we get the AJE, because we're just looking at what's expiring. Are there any questions? All right, time to look at some autos. J.H.J. Rome purchased 5 autos for $20,000 each, paying $50,000 down. The autos will be depreciated over a full year life. So once again, we bought an asset, it's going down in value. And so just like that prepaid insurance is wearing down, so these assets, because they got to be replaced. And so therefore, you've got to expense these autos. You've got to expense these autos. Do I have it in T accounts anywhere? Okay, so if we buy out 5 autos for $20,000 each and pay $50 down, how much are the autos costing us? How much are the autos costing us?
100,000.
That's 100,000. So you debit auto for 100,000, and you credit cash for what? 50,000. You credit note payable for 50,000. That's a journal entry you made, type 7 and a type 12 to purchase the auto. Now, it says that the autos have a full year useful life. So what does that mean? Over a full year period, we're going to depreciate these autos. And we're going to, all we do is divide 4 into 100, and we get 25,000 as our depreciation expense. But we're not going to credit auto, we're going to credit accumulated depreciation. We're not going to credit auto. We're crediting accumulated depreciation. Because if the asset is going to last longer than a year, we always want to know the cost. And so when we do the balance sheet, we're going to show the original cost of the auto. Then we're going to subtract the accumulated the depreciation expense. And so the net cost of the auto is now $75,000. So What kind of account is accumulated depreciation? What kind of an account is it? Where is it on the chart of accounts?
It's a long-term asset.
But what's the normal balance for it?
A credit.
It's a credit. So it's called what's called a contra asset. So when we buy the car, keep the car on here at 100,000. But when we take the depreciation, we do debit expense. So we're putting an amount in there, but we're gonna credit accumulate depreciation. So we always know what the item originally cost. Are there any questions by anyone?
So for like whenever we're doing the depreciation part, do we have to be mindful of how long that the useful year is? And then just go by, like, if it starts in 2017, then go like for the next 4 years with the accumulated depreciation?
Okay. So we typically keep the life the same. And so when we got to 2018, which makes these AGs, easy, same thing again. If we're using straight line depreciation in 2018, that's the adjusting entry. The same thing. We already bought it. We already got it. We're out buying it again. And so now we have another 25,000 that's going to be in this account. And we would have put the depreciation expense in the close. Of course, these are closed out each year over here. But now in the accumulated depreciation account in 2018 is now what? 50,000. So the net cost or net value of the auto now is 50,000. All right, you all go ahead and do year 3 for the auto. I want the adjusting entry. I want the balance sheet presentation in terms of how it's going to look. And I want to see show me how the T accounts look for the year 2019. So our journal entry going to be the same thing. But now if I get into this T account, what, I got another 25,000 in here. And so now how much is it worth? What's the net cost of our car now? And you all say
25,000.
how much?
25,000.
It costs us $25,000. Okay, so we've added two more types of prepaid expenses. We've added two more types of prepaid expenses. So on Tuesday, I can test you on everything you were tested on today, or quiz you. Plus, I can quiz you on these other two items as we build to add these adjusting interests. We're dealing with sort of internal transactions. That is, they're financial transactions, but they're internal to the company. So we started off with all these external transactions we have to record. But all of these internal transactions have to be recorded too as adjusting interest. Are there any questions? Okay, so as I said earlier, students, you should be finishing the first 40 journal entries, preparing the financial statements, closing the books so you have your first year. And by Monday or Tuesday, you'll be assigned the additional 40 journal entry that you have to work. So you'll get your second set of 40. Okay. Any questions? So we're doing a little bit better on adjusting interest today, especially for the ones from last time. Unearned income and supplies. Can everybody handle unearned income and supplies? Okay. If you cannot handle unearned income and supplies, you'll be in office hours at 3 o'clock on Monday. And of course, we will talk also about all of the others too as we proceed. But, you know, I'll change the due dates and everything, but I didn't want to just throw 50 of them at you at once because, you know, Sheila said 3 today was too many. So we're just proceeding through. But they're journal entries, and you're going to have to read them and do them. You got to patiently read them. But the process has changed. So you got the journal entries where you're given the dollar amount, and you say journal entry type, and boom. Now you got the journal entries. When you do depreciation, those same journal entries for the adjusting interest, they stay the same, but you got to calculate the amounts. Okay, so anything for the good of the cause? So as indicated, you know, I'm in class all day today. Tomorrow, I will look at the quizzes that you submitted, especially the quizzes for the people who had trouble, because I got to see where the issues are and work with them. Then, you know, around Saturday, so I'll begin to put those corrections in for period 1 and get that cleared out. Then next Thursday, you know, the midterm, the 8 students will not take the midterm. They will be working on their second set of 40 journal entries. And I guess we'll give them until Tuesday of the following week to get that done. Now, for the non-8 students, you do have a study problem that you have to do. So I will probably give you all I think probably about 12 or 15 adjusting entry type problem. I don't want to stress you all too hard. There. I think they will have, you'll have beginning balances, and they have about 13. So that'll be, they will focus on, you know, just the adjusting entries. Whereas the A student, you got 40, which includes regular and adjusting entry, where we cover all of them. Now, if you come to something you don't know, you can always check with me, but you got the primer to research things and the internet in general to research things if you have any issues or problems. Okay, so I will try to get those to you all right away, but you know what you got to do now. You got to go through the first 40, close that out. So you got year one done, then you got to move on to year two. Any questions by anybody? Anything for the good of the cause?